He should be here.
Oh, Chevelle. That's a female. Is that a female?
She was released.
Okay. That's fine.
And then we're gonna do his hearing and then him. He's the same guy's position.
So it should be 6.
Well, this guy was indicted.
Yeah, so yeah, number one, Augustus Green was released,
Don't include him.
Chevelle Hunt, and what, that last one, Bill's indicted.
Okay.
Right,
Griffin is on tonight, right? He's on tonight's calendar too, right?
who is that?
Antonio Griffin?
Yes, he is.
Yes,
He's
Your Honor.
on 13 on tonight's calendar.
It looks like we'll address bond or whatever we gotta do. Make a day could be a little short. You got one more, commander here. What case is he on?
Yes, I have 2, Your Honor. It's for the same person, leaks. And then also, the gentleman who just came in is on position number 2. Your Honor.
Sure,
So for position 1,
been released.
yes, been released. Position number 3, Your Honor.
Uh-huh.
And I understand that, are you covering for Mr. Lang today?
No, it's a private attorney that has position number 3.
I'll say, I'll wait to the actual attorney is here, but the officer would not be here. I spoke with that officer. He is, he has a medical excuse for the reason why he is not here. I did speak with him. I'll talk to him multiple times.
On position 3, you said?
Yes,
Well, it looks like that private lawyer's not here anyway,
yes.
so we can reset that one for, bless you. Well, we can reset that one for one time. What's that?
And Your Honor, this case right here may possibly, I'll talk to the AUSA in regards to this case, Your Honor. This case may be charged federally, possibly.
Are you talking about position 3 still?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not, and in talking with the AUSA, they said they will present it to the grand jury, possibly the beginning of May. So I'm not, as of right now, I'll talk to our office. We're keeping it right now until we see what happens with the traction with the federal case. The federal, if they're gonna see what they're gonna do, but we don't have anything definitive, but I just rather.
Yeah, that's good. So the actual lawyer on this case, I told, which he did a substitution of counsel, but Mr. Lane's gonna send me an order just so we make sure we remove him, is Stuart Mones, M-O-N-E-S, who's not here. So it's not even Mr. Lane. So that sounds like that's a Stuart Mones problem and not a Stephen Lane problem.
Yeah.
So we'll reset it. What's the date, Miss?
April 11th at 1 p.m.
So April 11th at 1 p.m. Madam Clerk, did you see the substitution of counsel on that one, on position 3?
No, Judge.
There's one, it's a guy named Stuart, S-T-U-A-R-T, Mones, M-O-N-E-S, or Monez, I don't know how you pronounce it.
Yes, I do, from the 19th. Yes, I do.
Yeah, so if you see that, if that, whatever that, so that needs to be,
Can you spell that name out again, please, Your Honor?
that needs to be counsel on this one, not Mr. Lang. S-T-U-A-R-T, last name M-O-N-E-S.
I have that updated.
What's that?
I will update that.
Thank you so much. That way Mr. Lang's off of.
Okay.
Right, so that will be reset. He's a no-show. Position 4 is released. They're here for leaks.
Yes, and Bleaks is in position 5 and position 8, Your Honor.
Right.
And both officers for positions 5 and 8 is here, Your Honor. In position number 6, Your Honor, the APD officer is Caroline Bush. Caroline Bush is working at Cop City from 7A to 7P. They literally have to sit in the woods as of right now. I haven't had direction from our office, but she did receive a subpoena. I did speak with her, and for the next 10 days, she'll be working in Cop City, mandatory again, from 7A to 7P. After that, she'll be out of the country for 10 days. I had discussed with her being here, but it's one of those, from what I was informed, once they are there, they cannot leave because they are trying to have a presence there at the time, and they're trying to have a certain amount of police officers there. So
So what's, how are you gonna address this when, because this one hasn't been reset again. This is.
No,
one-
this is the first one, Your Honor, and.
But how will you address that when you get one? I mean, without one, having to take Ms. Alfarasi away from what she needs to be doing today or anybody else. How you know how do y'all know? Is there rotations? Everybody got to work at Cop City?
Yeah,
Is that like,
right now they have, some for evening watch, they're split up, so they have like 2 or 3 days working, and then it's, it's like that, it's.
is it going to go through the whole department, like some from zone 1, some from zone 3, or is it?
It's also the evening, I believe all the evening watching for the next 10 days or 12-hour shifts, in Cox City.
Right.
And so what I would suggest, Your Honor, is, and I don't know what that policy would be in 10 days, Your Honor, or when this officer, she said she'll be available April the 17th, because after this, she's on vacation. And so she won't be available for April the 17th. But what I will do, I will personally make contact with her for that date when we have it reset. Because the way I was explained, the way she explained it to me was once they are there, they cannot leave because they have to sign out a patrol car, I believe, then go there. And once they are there, they're unable to leave.
I mean, I'm not questioning that yet. I'm not sure. Is that what they tell you guys?
Yeah, it's a fixed post.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I get it. So I guess where we're going to fall into an issue is of one, we don't know when all that stuff will end, is that now we'll have, so if you get a subpoena, because they get them 2 weeks ahead of time, right?
About a week.
A week, will you know if you're going to be at Cop City when you get the subpoena?
But I work day watch, so.
I mean, hypothetically,
Hypothetically,
if you got it this week for next week, would you already know you're going to be at Cop City?
No, well, for this officer right here.
Oh, I'm talking this.
Okay.
I subpoena you for next, you get for a week.
it's set the next 10 days.
Okay, so if you get a subpoena today, it is for next week. You already know today. If you got a subpoena in your hand, you know that you can look at it and say, no, I'm at Cop City.
You should.
You should. All right. So maybe when that needs to be communicated to somebody at APD so that those APD officers or somebody there, when you send us, I don't know how, but see, it's got to be done somehow other than email. I mean, I've got, you mean give you the commander's name?
No, I take it.
So all I want to do is if you send it to them, because if they know ahead of time, obviously life happens, circumstances, some officer may be pulled the last time, but that way we don't take the public defender away from their 100 cases apiece. Doesn't waste your time, anybody else's time. We can say, okay, Officer Wilson can't be here. We subpoenaed him. Y'all can go ahead and say, Ms. Alfarasi, we're going to go ahead and move it because he's at that duty station. I mean, Ms. Alfarasi and all the public defenders get it. It's just knowing ahead of time before you bring them out here and all this stuff. So it's just got that little bit of communication, kind of like a marriage, where you got to communicate about, like, as long as both of you trying to talk, because I mean, we don't all necessarily work for the same team, but we all work for justice. And so that's people they got to bring over here on a bus that they don't need to. It's all that. So maybe we can.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, maybe we can figure out some solution to that.
And what I'll do is I'll work with, like, when I spoke to her, I think the 10-day mandatory had just came into effect, I believe. And so I don't know if that's going to be extended at this time as of. All right, yes.
I have to assume that it probably will be extended for.
That it will too, Your Honor. So my concern is if we reset it and then it is during that time, I will do everything I can to try to let Ms. Alfarasi know, the court know, if it is extended.
No, I'm saying just send, your liaison. Like I said, I've got the chief's number, the major's number. I can call on his personal cell phone right now and say, hey, so somebody needs to reach out to whoever, major, wait a minute. What's the major? Hold on. And say, that way you guys can work something out so that when you do send a subpoena, that whomever, whatever their policy is, you get it. If there's Colonel so-and-so that gets it, that they can come back and say, so Chief Sensor, SEN, SER, or Major Adams. Hey, if there's rotation at Cop City, we get it. Absolutely understand. But if we send a subpoena, all that we ask is that officer look at it, and if that date falls on their rotation, just let us know ahead of time.
Yes.
I just think that's makes sense.
Yes, Your Honor. One thing I'm concerned about with this cop city is like, we just keep resetting one of my clients' cases because they're always on this mandatory. So I am concerned that like there's a date that the cop can actually appear and isn't on this cop city mandatory duty. So they can actually come and address these cases that they arrest.
Right, so if they're on 10 days, then they would obviously, how often would you get on the 10-day? I mean, if they gotta go through the shifts,
So, they gave us off days, but they just told us on Sunday it's 10 days mandatory, the next 10 days. But we don't know if it's
could go more, could go not.
Saturday,
Yeah.
Sunday, or just Monday to Friday.
Right. So I guess what we could do is if, when they get that subpoena, then you need to be able to say, okay, here's the dates, you're not going to be there.
Okay.
And I think that honestly takes either Ms. Willis or somebody reaching out to that deputy chief or major and saying, what can we do? Because you have officers that, I don't want to get mad at them for being there and doing their job, but just when where's the other guy? I'm at Fulton County. I'm at Turner Field. I'm here. I'm there. Whoop, no, I'm here. No, and never show up. That's different than somebody who's somewhere. I get it. I mean, I was a cop. I get it. If you can't leave, you can't leave. But this way, the jail doesn't transport them. Miss Alfarasi doesn't count on it, and it's another spot, and it looks like you're resetting. Because surely, if you do it and you reset it for the next week, they're not going to be back at Cop City on another 10 days. But I mean, that's common sense, not government thinking. So.
Your Honor, but what I will say is I will talk to my deputy chief for my division. I will talk to our investigator who do the.
And give them those names. I mean, that's who, and just say, what can we do to work out? Because if you get a subpoena and y'all pass around, if y'all get a subpoena, if you just call and say, I'm scheduled for court, it's that easy. And the quicker you do it, the easier.
And Censor, how do you spell that last name?
You mean Senzer? And then the major is Major Adams.
Got it.
But I got their emails.
I'll
give them to you off. So y'all can look it up.
Yes, no problem. And I know like,
It's gotta be something. And then they don't have to worry about it
Yes.
and we can find it out. But so she's out of town. So what can that date be reset to?
that date can be reset. The first date she's available is April the 17th.
So that's a Monday to Friday.
We can go ahead and go with that Tuesday if that's okay.
Is that Tuesday, the 18th, good for you, Ms. Alfarasi? Because,
Let me just double check, Your Honor.
and we can still address bond, Ms. Alfarasi, if you want to.
Yes, because he's no bonded and he's over 90.
Yeah, we can do that.
So February 18th at 1 p.m.
She's checking, you mean April?
I mean, April.
It looks like those calendars haven't been out yet, so it should be fine.
You want 1 p.m.?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, the 18th at 1 p.m. So, well, here it is. All right, what about 7? Jesus.
Hey, Sue, so that's supposed to be Bradley Janke with Alpharetta. And I did not make personal contact with that person yesterday, but they were properly subpoenaed, Your Honor.
All right.
And I do not know if this is a reset. I'm not sure if this is a reset or if this is the first time, so I don't want to misspeak, Your Honor.
It will show it on here. Let's see. No, I think this is the first time.
Okay.
And Ms. Alfarasi's filling in for Mr. Nelson. This is 22CP 214645, Jesus Luna, 106 days, forgery of the first degree, giving false information. Right now, it's got a $20,000 cash bond that somebody set on December the 14th. You want to respond for Mr. Nelson? Mr. Rhodes, on behalf of Mr. DeLuna?
I mean, the officer is not present, no call, no show, so we would ask for a dismissal based on that, Your Honor. It's not a situation like Cop City or another situation when the officer has vocalized their conflict.
Yeah.
So I don't like that the officer just doesn't show up. Nelson's client's been in custody over 100 days. So we would ask for a dismissal, or I guess, Your Honor, if you're amenable to a UJR jail instead.
I mean, we can bring them out, and like I said, I'll be glad to offer that UJR jail so that if they're indicted, now if they're indicted on other charges, but if it's this one, but I'll give absolutely one reset.
Can we still get UJR jail?
Well, no, because I give one bite of the apple, not two. Because it's the first time it's been on the counter. We'll hear bond though, because he's got 20,000 cash only. And that wasn't me.
My understanding, Your Honor, is I think because of his immigration status, they put a cash bond on.
Oh, okay. So we'll try that. And what about on, okay, we got leaks. We got another warm body over there, the officer. Who's the, we got other officers here, so
Position number 9 is Bill.
that's been indicted.
That's been indicted. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm
Colonel.
sorry. That was our domestic violence division. I apologize. I didn't reach out to you, sir, but you can go ahead and go. That's been indicted. You don't gotta testify today.
Appreciate it. Sorry made the trip. See, that's what I was talking about. A little communication never hurts.
Yeah.
Like you saw those say I came.
Oh, yeah. What you want? You want my autograph? Yeah, you can. Can you give him something?
I got you. Let me give you my email address. Email me. I'll shoot it back. I apologize about that. I usually let the other divisions handle everything because everybody got their own little system, okay? And I'm not important enough to have cards. so-
Hey, hold on a second. What's your name, officer?
Parrish, Justin Parrish.
What's today's date? Here you go. Here you go. Take it down. That was just my card with my scribble on the back, but get his too, and if they try to get onto you now. All right. What about the other officer we have over here? What does it say? Mauser? Who's it? Marinson. What case is Marinson on?
Yeah,
Okay.
position number 2, Your Honor.
Antonio Griffin. Okay.
Yeah, did you have a reset day for position number 7? Or are we still deciding what to do?
Yeah, we'll get the one reset. What's that date?
We didn't have a date yet, Your Honor.
No, I'm saying, I'm asking her.
Oh.
Is that,
Far out, do you want me to go?
this is one of Mr. Rhodes' cases.
It's Alpharetta, so I'll feel a little bit more comfortable. He needs to show up. So
No,
it
amen.
doesn't have to be far. I'll put it like that.
Okay, so.
But on that, whatever that Wednesday is, that we have that one case, that 5th, that we have like 13 on there, not that one.
Is Mr. Rhodes, so I don't know what his availability will be.
Yeah.
Okay, let's kind of be punched now. Let's put it on April 12th. Let it be at 9 a.m.
Okay, and you can put on this, this is the last reset.
Yeah, but you still hear him on bond?
Yes, I can still hear him on bond.
Okay.
All right, who's worked latest? Anybody worked overnight? Nope. All right, when do y'all want to go? Who wants to go first?
I'll go with officers since theirs are related. Sorry.
We want to let them fight it out in the, but,
I was gonna let the other officer come because theirs are related, and I think it'll be a little bit.
all right, you want to do Antonio Griffin first?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Judge
All right, come on
Manning,
up. So we'll do Antonio Griffin, number 2 first.
Judge Manning,
Yes, ma'am.
excuse me. Position number 6, you're saying you're doing bond hearing today on that defendant. He's on the calendar for 4/4.
Yeah, we're still gonna address it. That way, oh, yeah, so that way it'll be off my night calendar.
Yeah, Your Honor, all my clients today are on a night court calendar, but I was gonna ask to have them all heard today.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're a body, they're here, we can hear it.
Okay.
I mean, and anyway, it ends up being add-on sometimes at night, so it'll just make it that much easier. So we'll still go ahead and hear bond. All right, so this is position 2. Oh, raise your right hand for me. You swear firm testimony about to give truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
That's right.
Can you sit down, state your name, spell it for the court reporter, keep an eye on her because she'll wave at you. She's right there waving at you if she can't hear you, okay?
Okay.
All right, you may need to speak up a little bit louder into the microphone. State and spell your name for her.
Officer David Martin,
Probably need to spell that.
David, DAVID, MAURITZEN.
Perfect.
Good afternoon,
Oh,
officer.
wait a minute, sorry, 22 CP 214498, he's out here now, 113 days without indictment. Antonio Griffin, DGCSA, possession of methamphetamines, criminal trespass, misdemeanor obstruction, possession of drug-related objects. Right now, it's 113 days without indictment, and he does have a bond as of December 17th, but we'll also hear bond. He's got a $3,500 good bond. Go ahead.
how do you pronounce your last name?
Moritzen,
Moritzen, okay, Moritzen. And it's officer, right?
that's correct.
Okay, Officer Moritzen, where are you currently employed?
Warner Police Department,
And how long have you been employed there?
4 years now.
And were you employed there on December 6th, 2022?
Say again,
Were you employed there on December 6th, 2022?
that's firm.
And how did you become aware of Antonio Griffin?
We're doing what is called train patrol. While on train patrol, we're basically doing what is called a welfare check. If somebody is asleep, we just wake them up, see if they're right. And once we wake them up, we ask them by policy if they have a breeze card, so that way they can be traveling on the train. Mr. Griffin got irate at that time, so he started to talk very loud, being disorderly. And we asked him to get off the train because he was, just talking a lot of profane language.
And when you did this welfare check, can you please explain that interaction, please?
So if we see any patron that is like falling asleep, we most of the time get this conduct by patron traveling on the train. We just wake them up very slowly so that way they don't get startled. And once he wakes up, we ask him, what's his way of travel, where is he going, if he's okay, if he needs any help. And by policy, we have to ask him for that breeze card.
Okay. And is that how you woke up Mr. Griffin?
But that's correct.
Okay. How many officers was it when you approached him?
There were about, if I can recall right, there were about like 3 officers.
Were you all in uniform?
That's correct.
Okay, you were at the point where you said he was using profanity, and you asked him to step off the train. Please go ahead.
So after we tell him that he got to exit the train because he doesn't have a breeze card at that moment, we asked him to leave the station. He refused to leave the station, and we asked him several times to leave the station. So once he refused to leave the station, then we go and arrest him for criminal trespass.
And why were you asking him to leave the station?
So it's like, we tell him, you got to leave the station at this time. We're giving him a verbal warning that if he doesn't leave the station, you're going to be arrested and charged with a criminal trespass charge.
And so why was he being asked to leave?
He didn't have a breeze card. If he doesn't have a breeze card and he's acting disorderly, we get him out of the station. We give him a verbal warning so that way he can, leave the station.
All right, so go ahead. After you gave him the verbal warning and he didn't leave, what happened next?
So he refused to leave the station. After that, we tell him he's under arrest. We're going to put handcuffs on him. And then he starts to pull away, try to fight it until we got him in handcuffs.
And how many officers are there at this time?
There were like 4 officers.
Were all the officers in uniform?
That's correct.
And were your instructions, who was speaking to him? Was it just one person or was it multiple people?
All the officers were telling him, to put his hand behind his back. We're trying a little bit struggling with him to put him in handcuffs at that time.
Was he punching? Was he kicking?
He was pulling away and struggling with us most of the time.
Did any of the officers suffer an injury?
Negative.
Were you able to handcuff him?
That's correct.
After you handcuffed him, did you do a search incident to lawful arrest?
That's correct. We did what is called a pat down and incidents to arrest. We found other what is called I'm sorry, I forget the word sometimes. It's a substance in a small little bag To my knowledge, it looked like crystal meth at that time.
So the substance look like meth? And can you please tell me about any training you have had regarding illegal drugs?
Yes, I've been an officer now full 8 years, so by my experience, it looked like it was a substance that I already know by experience.
And where was it on his person?
This was, if I can recall, he was on his left pocket. We also found what is called a crystal pipe with a substance in it.
And through your experience, what would this pipe be used for?
It was by experience, it was a clear pipe used most of the time to either smoke any substance that he was using at that time. It was a crystal pipe.
Were you post certified at the time of this arrest?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
What station did this occur at?
This happened at Lindbergh Station on the southbound platform.
And what county is that in?
I'm sorry?
What county is that in?
That's in Fulton County.
When you all first approached Mr. Griffin, was your body cam on?
That's correct.
Was the other officer's body cam on?
Yes,
Was there video of this encounter from the actual train videos, CCTV that you have inside?
that's correct. All trains have CCTV.
And was your video and the CCTV video preserved?
That's correct.
When you removed Mr. Griffin or requested that he removed from the train, was your body cam still recording?
That's correct.
Was your body cam recording during a search incident to lawful arrest?
That's affirmed.
Was it captured on your body cam the bag of the suspected methamphetamine?
That's correct.
Was
It didn't being recorded.
Okay. Was the burnt glass pipe recorded on your body cam?
That's correct.
Once Mr. Griffin was asked to go to exit the train, did his behavior remain the same as it was when he was on the train?
Can you say again? I'm sorry.
Did he continue to cuss and not follow instructions when you asked him to leave the train?
He did not follow instruction at that time.
Who approached Mr. Griffin when trying to put on the handcuffs? Was it you or was it the other officers with you?
It was myself and other officers also.
And what instruction did you give to him regarding the handcuffs?
We always tell him to stop resisting, put his hands behind his back.
Did he do that?
That's a negative.
Do you see Mr. Griffin in a courtroom at this time?
That's correct.
To everybody, remember we done it. Go ahead.
Can you please identify an article of clothing that he is wearing?
He's wearing a white t-shirt I mean, as a noun or as at that time?
Right now.
Right now.
Right now, it has a blue and white shirt.
So is it two separate shirts or one shirt? You say a blue and white.
But what I can see is two separate
stand up.
shirts.
You can stand up and take a look at it.
Yes, it is two separate shirts.
Okay. Can the court recognize that he has positively identified Mr. Griffin, the defendant?
Noted.
What is the policy and procedure once drugs are obtained for a person that's arrested for the Martin Police Department?
We backed up as evidence, and we send it out to get tested, lab tested.
And was that done?
That's correct.
Did you bag the methamphetamine or was it a different officer?
It was myself.
The glass pipe. Using your knowledge, training, and experience, what was the glass pipe used for?
Is best of my knowledge, is used to smoke that methamphetamine and other drugs.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions at this time.
Cross.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, officer. So you were patrolling Marta train station that day?
That's correct.
You were okay. And so you said there were a couple of officers with you. Who were those officers that were with you?
It was a sergeant and the other officer, I can't recall his name. But there was a sergeant that it was on K9 at that time. He was a supervisor in K9 at that moment.
Do you know his name?
Sergeant Moore.
Sergeant Moore?
That's correct.
And are you the first officer to have contact with Mr. Griffin?
Yes,
Okay. And so in that initial contact, Mr. Griffin, you felt like you needed people to come with you? Needed additional backup?
yeah, we needed backup at that time.
Okay, so you radioed for them to come over?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And so you encountered him around almost 8 p.m. on the train?
I don't recall the time at this moment, but
Okay.
it was not that, I don't think it was at that time.
Do you have your notes for this case?
I don't have my notes with me at this time.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Griffin, he was sleeping on the train when you encountered him?
That's correct.
Okay, so he wasn't doing anything suspicious, you were just sleeping?
Yes,
Okay. And you woke him up?
yes, that's correct.
And was he kind of startled when you woke him up? You know, when you're sleeping and someone wakes you up, you're like kind of hazy at first?
That's correct. Sometimes, I can't recall if he's startled or, he woke up in a bad mood or anything like that. But and once we wake him up, we just ask if he's all right. If we see, we see other stuff like laying around, if he's loitering, we do ask him for the breeze card most of the time, see where he's traveling. And from that point on, he got mad with us.
Okay, and so the breeze card, did you guys ever recover a breeze card on him?
No, we didn't. I don't recover any card. with him.
Okay, but you didn't suspect him of evading fare or anything like that, correct?
No, that's correct.
Okay. Okay, and so when you asked him for what his destination was, did he give you an answer?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
You asked where he was going on the train, did he give you an answer?
No,
Okay, so he just did it, he was just non-silent?
no, he was not silent. He was just, at that time, he was just using profane language and being loud.
So that's what he initially just responded with?
Yeah, that's what he responded.
Okay. And so were there any other witnesses on the train?
I'm sorry, what was
Were there
that?
any other witnesses on the train?
But the other officers, and there were other patrons around.
Okay, and did you ever get those names or take down their information?
No,
Okay. And, so you told Mr. Griffin to leave the train?
that's correct.
Now, this is on the train or this is like on the platform at the station?
No, on the train, we asked him to leave. So, and then he stopped at the platform at that time.
Okay, so he left the train when you guys told him to leave.
He
He
exited
got
the
out of the
train.
train.
Yeah, I got out of the train and we asked him to leave the station.
Okay,
At
and
that
at that
point.
point, that's
He
when he started.
refused to leave the station.
Okay. And so, but he did eventually leave the train with you guys?
He did exit the train because the train, most of the time, we cannot stop the train for a long period of time. So we did ask him, to get off the train, got off the train. We asked him to leave the station at that moment.
Okay. And then, he wasn't detained at that time, correct?
No, he was not detained.
Okay. And so you followed him off the train?
Yes,
Okay. And, was there like another train coming that maybe he wanted to go onto another train to leave?
no, not at that point.
There was no other arriving? Okay. And, so you decide at that point, Mr. Griffin wasn't leaving, so you decide to arrest him for criminal trespass?
That's affirmed.
Okay. And at that point, you try to detain Mr. Griffin?
That's correct.
Okay. And did Mr. Griffin seem confused on why he was being arrested at the time?
For criminal trespass.
Did he seem confused on why?
No, he was just being loud and uncooperative with us.
Did you tell him we are arresting you for criminal trespass? 'Cause
That's
you won't
correct.
leave the property?
Yep.
Okay. And then after he's arrested, that's when you searched him?
What was that?
That's when you searched him after he's
So-
arrested?
We arrest him, we just pat him down at that moment, we take him to the precinct. In the precinct, we do a thorough search.
Okay, so you didn't search him at the MARTA station?
At the station, no, at the precinct.
You just did a pat down?
That's correct.
Okay, and so you didn't recover anything in the pat down?
No, no weapons were found at that moment.
Okay, so then you transport him to your precinct,
That's correct.
and then you guys do a more thorough search of him?
That's correct.
Okay. And then you said on direct that you found what you suspect to be meth in the left pocket.
That's correct.
Did you take out warrants in this case?
I took warrants.
Okay. And do you have a copy of those warrants?
I think I have them on my phone, a copy of them.
Okay. I have a copy of one of the warrants here. Your Honor, may I?
Sure. Okay.
All right, so this is a warrant you took out in this case, correct?
That's correct.
And so when you arrested him, and you did a search in the warrant, it says that you found it to be in the right pocket, not the left pocket?
That's correct. That's my mistake in there.
Okay, I just want to be clear where it was suspectedly found.
Yes.
All right, let me approach you. Thank you. All right. And then you also said that you found a pipe on him.
That's correct.
Was it in the same pocket or was it in a different pocket?
Probably in the same pocket. I cannot acknowledge right now. Which
Okay.
pocket was it?
Okay, and was the pipe broken?
It was, since the incident had to go to the floor, it's probably broken at that time.
Okay, and was there anything in the pipe?
Just like residues, not fully loaded or anything like that. But you can see it has, white substance in it.
You saw white substance in the pipe?
Yes,
Okay, now could that just be burnt ashes from tobacco?
It could
Objection,
be.
Your Honor. He said, he used the word residue, Your Honor. Hey,
I guess if you rephrase, could it be residue of regular tobacco?
it could be anything, but it had white substance in it.
Okay,
By the best of my knowledge, it was from the same substance that he had.
okay. And so, are you familiar with things burn? Besides
Yes.
things on fire? Okay, and now what color are ashes after something's burned?
The ashes are gray,
Okay, have you ever seen white ashes too?
white, gray.
Okay.
They're basically, they burn on that color.
Okay, all right. So Did you test the drugs yourself?
Objection,
Oh.
Your Honor. He already testified that he sent the drugs out to be tested, Your Honor.
I'm asking, Your Honor, if he tested the drugs. They have roadside kits all the time. I'm
I
asking.
want to know if you field tested.
We don't test the drugs. We send it out to test most of the time. We use gloves. We don't use any other method than what the department has.
Okay. And so you did you performed no field test on this?
No, we don't.
Okay. But you said you sent it off to the GBI?
We send it out to test.
Okay. And do you know for sure that it was sent out to the GBI? Did you handle
I
that?
send it out to the department. I don't have knowledge after that, how they do the procedure.
Okay. Do you have any knowledge if it was actually have been tested by the GBI?
I don't have knowledge of that right now.
Okay. So you just don't know if it's been tested?
I don't know if he had been tested. I send it out to be tested though.
Okay. And Mr. Griffin, when you say he didn't offer any violence to you, correct? He didn't try punching you or kicking you or anything of that nature?
No, but he was, basically he was pulling away, moving around a lot. It took 4 officers to, swipe him off his feet, put him in the ground and arrest him.
Okay, but he didn't try punching any officer?
He was very aggressive at that time. Actually, my sergeant had to, stun tase him at that moment.
Okay, but again, he didn't throw any punches or kick anyone, correct?
He was kicking, but he didn't kick me. But he was moving a lot. He was being very aggressive.
Okay, but no officers had injuries?
No officers had injuries.
Okay. Thank you, officer. No further questions, Your Honor.
Any other questions?
When he was kicking, did he make contact with anybody?
Not to my knowledge.
Was he kicking at the officers that was around him?
He was being very aggressive towards everybody that was trying to put him in handcuffs at that time.
And did you send the drugs to be tested?
That's affirmed.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Thank you, officer. Stay safe out there. All right, good argument.
I'll defer to defense.
Yes, Your Honor. First, Your Honor, we take issue with the fact that I didn't hear any testimony about his training. I heard a general statement that I have training, but we didn't hear any evidence or any foundation of what kind of training he's had, what kind of experience he has with controlled substances. It's been sent off, but as we know, Your Honor, we don't even know if it's actually being tested by the GBI. They're not testing them, as we've been seeing. So, Your Honor, we would submit there's not probable cause on that because the officer did not lay foundation of what kind of training he has. Not every officer has the same amount of drug training. This isn't necessarily a narcotics officer where you would assume he's had more in-depth training. This is a MARTA police officer, Your Honor. We don't know what kind of the extent, and the state did not get into that. So we would submit that there's not probable cause on the possession of a controlled substance. I would also connect that with the drug-related object, Your Honor, since they are somewhat connected. We would also submit, Your Honor, I believe there might be a motion to suppress here, at least Mr. Nelson does. And but this is a preliminary hearing stage, so we're just asking you to find no probable cause because the officer didn't have probable cause to arrest him for criminal trespass. Thank you.
I'll start with the criminal trespass, Your Honor. He was asked to go ahead and stand onto the platform after he was being rude and belligerent to the officers. He was asked to leave at that time, the place of the station at that time, and he refused to leave. He was informed if he did not leave, he will be given a criminal trespass, and he still refused to leave. That's when the criminal trespass, that's why the criminal trespass warrant was actually written, Your Honor. In regards to the possession of methamphetamine, the officer stated that he'd been working for at least 8 years with the MARTA police. He said he has had experience in regards to drugs. He said what he saw was a crystalline substance that he have seen and of the unknown aspect of the methamphetamine. With that information that he have had, that he said he have arrested multiple people, then that gives him training, knowledge, and experience with illegal drugs. But with that training and experience, he was able to see that it was a pipe that associated with smoking meth, and he was already had a the meth bag in his hand where he was seeing the meth pipe. I believe enough information have been provided for probable cause, Your Honor. And I ask that the court find probable cause for all charges before the court.
Okay. I'll find probable cause on all 4 charges. He's on a $3,500 good bond as of December the 13th.
Let me flip. Greer, 22 prior arrests, 1 FTA, 5 arrests for probation violations, 4 misdemeanor, at least 3 felonies, 2 are forgery in the first degree. Open case 22 CR 005890G, criminal trespass, obstruction, and fair evasion. Is this one and they bumped it up?
No, there's one on state court. With the G, there's a state court thing where he had same thing, murder charges.
Okay, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Alfarasi.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Griffin, he's been in custody now 113 days. His bond is $3,500, Your Honor. He can't afford any bond. We are gonna ask for UJR. He's been in custody this long. This is a low-level offense, Your Honor. He didn't really offer violence to anyone. We're talking really about just a simple possession case. Your Honor, we do have a good mailing address for him, which is his cousin's house. He does have family in the area. He's a lifelong Atlanta resident, Your Honor. He's completed the 11th grade. He does have 2 children, and he does have a daughter. One of his daughters does live in the area, and there's more family here. So because of the time that he's been in the jail, Your Honor, and because his bond is already so low, we are asking for UJR when the state is actually ready to move forward with this case, because we don't know when we're going to get these results back from the GPI. And we know the state's not going to move forward with the case unless they get their results back. So we're going to ask for UJR so he can go back and proceed with his life while this case gets settled. Thank
So
you.
where is he gonna be living?
It is a 522 Parkway Drive Northeast, apartment 201.
All right, so that's not just mailing, it's where he'll be living.
I believe so, yes, Your
All right.
Honor.
Your Honor, the only thing we will say about in regards to conditions, I understand in regards to everybody have to use some kind of form of transportation, but it seemed like he has had multiple issues with the MARTA and being on the MARTA, Your Honor. I will ask for a stay away, and I know that may seem to be a little bit extreme, Your Honor, but I believe that since we've had multiple issues with the MARTA, I think a stay away would be appropriate for this case.
MARTA issues them anyway once you're arrested for something. So he was already issued one when he was arrested at the state court charge, which one of his bond conditions there, his bond conditions was no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons or firearms, and stay away from the West Peachtree Street MARTA, North Avenue Station. But MARTA suspends you. Sir, MARTA has advised you that you are banned from MARTA. You're banned from MARTA. When your bond conditions, stay away from all MARTA, bus stop, train stop, even that little whatever thing that goes around in a circle. What is that? The little trolley. What do they call that?
It's just called trolley.
Is it? Yeah, the little streetcar. There you go, streetcar. That's also part of MARTA. Stay away from it. Can't stop and tie your shoe at a bus stop. If it's a MARTA bus stop on that bench, can't sit on that bench. You have to walk past that, sit on the ground and tie your shoe. If you sit on that bench and tie your shoe, that's a violation of your bond condition. So stay away from all MARTA property. And also stay away from 2420 Piedmont Road. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Uh, 1,000 count 1, 500 count 2, 500 count 3, and $50 on possession of drug-related objects. 1,000, 500, 500, and then the last one is $50. Got that, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Judge, I have it.
All right, thank you. Best of luck to you, sir. All right, which one you folks want to come up here on the leaks?
The guy on the end, please.
Guy on the end.
And officer, what's your last name again?
Lucian, guy on the end.
I mean, I'll tell Nelson.
So,
He can try to.
Which one will he be doing? 5 or 8?
He will be doing
I'll tell Nelson
8,
that
Your
you
Honor.
called.
8,
And
okay.
it may bleed into, I think he is such a great witness, Your Honor. You can let us know at the end if he have enough for both, Your Honor.
Okay.
I don't
Yes,
know.
ma'am. James Lakes. All right, you raise your right hand. You swear for testimony about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, if you want to have a seat, sit down, state, spell your name for the court reporter.
Detective Markins Lucian, Markins, Markens, Lucian, Lucien.
All right, stand by, we'll get him out here. So do these all happen on the same day? Oh,
2 different days, Your Honor.
okay,
Your Honor, I was trying to mess with you earlier when we was talking about the housing thing.
yeah.
You said, it's just like a marriage, it's easy communication. That's the hardest communication there is. I was like, hold on, no, geez, you didn't know for lunch.
That's true, especially if you're married to another lawyer, it's bad, because you're like, no, I'm right, no, I'm right. You're like,
But
oh,
I'm the one who's married to the one who, and I never want an argument, so that says a lot.
right. But you're the husband, I mean, come on. Where's that, what's a restaurant, and it said, it said men's room to the left, because women are always right. There was a sign right there. So I was like, oh, okay, there you go. All right, there you go. We got Mr. Leaks. So we got position 8, 22 CP 214733, 108 days without indictment. James Leaks. We got armed robbery, hijacking motor vehicle in first degree, aggravated assault, possession of firearm or knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, possession of firearm by a convicted felon. And I can go ahead and put position 5, 22 CP 214600, James Leaks, 108 days without indictment. Armed robbery, hijacking motor vehicle, first degree, aggravated assault, possession of firearm or knife during the commission of a felony, and possession of firearm by a convicted felon. So go ahead, counsel.
Your Honor, can we be clear which case we're handling?
Right,
first? And then second, because they're so similar in nature, I don't want to get confused.
Yeah, we'll start with number 8.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, just for respect for that also, they are very similar in nature, Your Honor. And even in our in Odyssey, they're not the same case. There are 2 different case numbers, and I just want to make sure, just for the record, that even though they are very similar charges, sure, it's 2 different case numbers, 2 different, and my witnesses will testify to that. But I we are starting with number 8. He will be talking about both because he was a detective for both, just to let you know. So
see, can you just focus one on one and one on the other? Because we're gonna keep cross-mixing them.
And I understand, but the thing is, they overlap though, unfortunately. One case.
Why don't you go chronological when you start with the first one, and then why don't you go timeline like that, so we have a clearer timeline?
Sure, and I'll try to make it as clear as possible, okay? All right.
Before you begin, counsel, I do apologize. Your Honor, I just want to make it clear for the record. Also, I know these are 2 separate cases, so when I file them with the clerk's window, I just want to make sure I'm filing 2 separate cases as opposed to, or do you want me to do them as a global, but just within the?
You just put, the 2 separate case numbers on them, whichever you want to do.
Okay.
On your transcript, you just put both cases.
Okay.
Case numbers. That seems, a little logical since it's both.
Sure.
All right, go ahead.
Yes. Officer, or is it detective? Detective, my apologies, sir.
Fine.
How do you pronounce your last name?
Lucian,
Officer Lucian, where are you currently employed?
with the Atlanta Police Department.
And were you employed with them on December the 10th, 2022?
Yes, sir.
Were you employed with them on December the 11th, 2022?
Yes, sir.
How did you become aware of James Leaks?
I became aware of James Leaks actually on December 11th of 2022. He was a suspect in a carjacking that he was caught for shortly afterward. During that time, I was made aware of a similar carjacking that happened on December 10th of 2022 in the same area. That carjacking happened at 3330 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive in Fulton County at a Texaco gas station.
And just for we can be clear, I understand it's 2 different days. I'm just trying to make sure the record is clear as possible, and I just don't want to confuse anybody. Were you the warrant writing officer for 1210 or 1211?
I was a warrant writing officer for 1210.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the 1210 case. All right.
No problem.
Now, if you learn something on 1211 that you use on 1210, just let us know.
Okay.
And we'll go from there. So we were talking about the 1210 2022 case. And then I want you to go ahead and discuss that incident, please.
Okay, on 12/10/2022, the victim, Miss McCray, was carjacked at the Texaco at 3330 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive.
What's her first name?
I believe it's Brianna.
Please go ahead.
Officers arrived at that location and spoke to Miss McCray, who stated that while she was at pump 5, fueling her vehicle, she was approached by a subject that she described as 6'2", maybe in their 40s or 50s, black male, wearing a light in color long sleeve shirt, possibly gray in color, with a blue mask covering his entire face besides his eyes. This suspect, who was later identified.
Are you reading the police report?
No, I was just reading the description from it. I don't have everything in front of me. Do you need me to?
I just want to make sure you're not reading the police report. That was it.
Okay. I'm sorry, where was this?
Hold on, let me help you out in regards to that. If you need to refresh your memory, you can go ahead, take a look, and if a question, you need to go ahead and refresh your memory. Let us know that I need to refresh my memory. Then you can go ahead and take a look at your report. Once it's refreshed, then you can go ahead and answer the question. The person won't answer the question again. But I understand you have your cell phone in front of you and papers in front of you. You cannot just look at it and just read off of it, okay?
Understood, sir.
Okay. So please go ahead in regards to where you were, all right? Let's go back to the fact of she gave a description of the male.
She gave a description of the male. And that report was taken by the officers. Her 2016 Jeep Compass was stolen from her. How I eventually became involved in the case is the next day, another carjacking occurred at 3050 MLK of a GMC Sierra. I was the detective responding to that scene. In that case, the suspect had carjacked the GMC Sierra from victim, Mr. Knox. The officer was able to gather the information on that vehicle, put out a citywide bolo, and later in the area of Jonesboro Road in Zone 3, officers spotted that vehicle at a gas station and ended up detaining a female who was inside that vehicle. Upon doing so, suspect James Leaks took off running. Zone 3 officers were able to capture him and notified me of the incident. Those same officers then reviewed the camera footage from that gas station and saw Mr. Leaks exiting from that GMC Sierra. Upon my arrival, we conducted a show up. The incident, I believe, happened sometime around 7 or 7:30 in the morning on 12/11. The show up was done at approximately 9:30 in the morning.
And the show was with who?
With victim, Mr. Knox, who positively identified Mr. Leaks as a person who took his vehicle.
Okay.
While there, Zone 4 officers informed me that a similar incident had happened before, which was the incident I referenced before, which is on 12/10/2022 with victim, Miss McCray. Mr. Leaks was taken to police headquarters where he was Mirandized, and we asked him about both incidents. During the interview, he initially stated that I showed him a picture of victim, Mr. Knox, and he initially said that he did not know that person.
Can you go back to the Miranda just for a second?
Yes.
You said he was Mirandized. Can you please define what that means?
I read him his Miranda warnings, and afterward, he agreed to speak to me without legal counsel present.
And did you read it off your cell phone? Did you use a card? How did you do it?
I used a card.
Okay, go ahead.
He initially, I showed him a picture of the victim, Mr. Knox, and he initially said that he did not know Mr. Knox. Then after telling him that officers had seen him exit the GMC Sierra, he changed his story and said that he got the vehicle from Mr. Knox and that Mr. Leaks, sold cocaine and crack cocaine, and that Mr. Knox was an addict who gave him the vehicle and was supposed to call him when the vehicle was to be returned. I then spoke to him about the incident that happened the day before on 12/10/2022, And initially, he stated that he was nowhere near Martin Luther King Jr. Drive on that day. When I then showed him a video of him exiting the carjacked vehicle later that day on MLK, he then changed his story to say that he was on MLK and Fairburn. And when I mean MLK, I'm saying Martin Luther King Jr. Drive.
Okay, and hold on one second. You said exiting the carjacked vehicle, and I understand that your investigation went over 2 days. I'm just keeping everything clear for the record. So when you said you showed him a video of him exiting the carjacked vehicle, what vehicle is that?
This is Miss McCrae's vehicle, the 2016 Jeep Compass.
You said Jeep Compass. Did you write a report for this?
I wrote an arrest report.
And if you review the arrest report, will it refresh your recollection of what kind of vehicle it was?
Yes. May I?
Please go ahead.
Okay.
You just said Compass. Just want to make sure the record is clear.
Okay. I'm sorry. On the arrest report, it says a 2016 Jeep Cherokee.
Please go ahead.
I apologize for that.
There's no problem.
Mr. Leaks can be seen. I showed Mr. Leaks a video of himself on MLK stepping out of a 2016 Jeep Cherokee.
And what was he wearing?
He was wearing a red shirt and had a blue face mask around his neck.
And on 2010, was he wearing anything that's distinctive at the same time as he is stepping out the same vehicle?
A royal blue face mask.
Please go ahead.
After showing him the video, he initially denied that it was him, but after a while he changed his story, stated that he had met a drug dealer on MLK in Fairburn who he wished to purchase drugs from. He stated that the drug dealer told him that he can go inside the 2016 Jeep Cherokee and test out some drugs that were in the vehicle. Even though later, when you review the entire video, Mr. Leaks arrived in that vehicle and it was later recovered by the Atlanta Police Department.
And Breonna McCrae, did she describe the weapon that was used?
May I look at my notes too?
Please.
She described the weapon as an all-black pistol.
Was an all-black pistol recovered?
Yes, an all-black pistol was recovered from a book bag that Mr. Leaks had in his possession on 12/11/2022.
And was you able to determine, was there any kind of relationship between Ms. McCrae and Mr. Leaks?
There was no relationship between Ms. McCrae and Mr. Leaks.
Did Ms. McCrae give Mr. Leaks the permission to use the vehicle?
No, she did not.
Did the incident that occurred on 12/10/2022 with Ms. McCrae, was that caught on video at the gas station?
Unfortunately, it was not. The gas station's cameras did not work at that time.
Did any witnesses see it at the time?
Let me check my notes.
Go ahead.
To my knowledge, no.
After her vehicle was taken, where did Ms. McCrae go?
Ms. McCrae, I believe, ran inside the gas station to call 911.
Okay. Was you able to review the 911 call?
I was not.
Okay. Did you speak to the gas station attendant who was working at that time on that day?
I did.
And what was that person's name?
I didn't get that person's name.
Okay.
Myself and another investigator had spoken to him.
And what did you learn?
The only thing that they can tell me was that Miss McCray had run inside in a panic, saying that somebody took her vehicle, and they let her use a phone to call 911.
Was video from inside the gas station working that was able to capture that?
To my knowledge, none of the cameras were working, inside nor outside.
Did you talk to Miss McCray?
I did.
And what was her, in speaking with her, can you please discuss that interaction when you were speaking with her?
I later called Miss McCray and told her that I was the lead investigator in the case, and she was able to describe the person who carjacked her, and she specifically told me that she only remembered seeing his eyes because his mask was pulled up to underneath his eyes and his hat was pulled down. So the only thing that she can remember is his eyes.
And how were you able to associate Mr. Leaks with the person who held up and carjacked Miss McCray?
During the interview with Mr. Leaks, after he lied about being in possession of the Jeep Grand Cherokee, I told him that Miss McCray was able to describe him. He did not believe this, and he pulled up his mask and put on his hat to basically only show his eyes, and asked investigators, myself and the investigator I was with, if Miss McCray would be able to tell how, oh no, I'm sorry. Mr. Leaks asked investigators if we can tell how old he is when he's like that, which when I spoke to Miss McCray is exactly how she described him.
And when he did this, did he have the blue mask?
He did.
Was this caught on body cam?
This was during an interview, so it was.
Was that recorded?
It was video and audio recorded.
Did his description during this interview match how Ms. McCray said he looked during your interview with her?
Yes, sir.
You wrote a warrant for possession of firearm by a convicted felon. And what was the basis for that warrant?
Mr. McCray had been convicted of a felony beforehand and was in possession of a firearm when he carjacked victim Miss McCray.
Can you please, and if you have to look at your notes, can you please state for the record which crime he was convicted of for the record?
I have to look at the notes. I have here that he was convicted of an aggravated assault in 2017.
And what county was he convicted in?
No, I'm sorry.
If you can take a look at your cell phone, I know you got some information on your cell phone. If you have to take a look at it, that's okay. Please go ahead.
Yes, please. I'm gonna take a look at my cell phone for it.
And Your Honor, I would like to apologize. I took some of the notes that the officer had
That's okay.
just because they overlapped a little bit. So that's why we have this on the break right
I apologize. One of the charges that Mr. Leaks was convicted of was armed robbery on August 23rd, 2010 in DeKalb County Superior Court.
here. Thank you. And the gas station, what was the address for the gas station that this occurred at?
It should be 3330 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive.
And what county is it in?
That's in Fulton County.
Were you post certified at the time of this investigation?
Yes, I was.
Do you see Mr. Leaks in the courtroom right now?
Everybody remove their mask.
Yes, I do. That's James Leaks sitting with the blue shirt over a gray sweater.
Thank you. For the court recognized he has positively identified the defendant.
Noted.
Sir, I know you said that at the beginning. I just want to make it clear. When James Leaks approached Ms. McCray, did she describe where the gun was pointed? Was it at her face, body?
I believe she said it was pointed at her body.
How far away was he?
He, according to her description, he was right up on her.
Did she express how that made her feel?
She was scared. When Mr. Leaks initially approached and told her not to do anything, she had reached for her door, and that's when he said, "Don't do anything," or "Don't do that." And she just stepped out the way, and Mr. Leaks got into the vehicle. I believe Mr. Leaks told her to put the gas pump back.
Okay. And after he got in the vehicle, what did he do?
What did Mr. Leaks do?
Yes.
He traveled eastbound on Martin Luther King Jr. Drive.
No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Cross.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, detectives.
Good afternoon.
So you didn't initially report to the robbery, right?
Not on 12/10.
Okay, so when did you pick up the case?
On 12/11.
Okay, so the next day.
Yes.
Okay, and so one of the first things you did was just you reviewed the incident reports from the reporting officer?
Yes.
Okay, and then you made contact with Ms. McCray?
Yes.
Okay, and so she told you that someone brandished a gun at her and took her car?
Pointed a gun at her and took her car.
Okay. So she said she was at a pump, and she was at a pump gas station?
Yes.
This happened? Okay. And she said she was approached by a black male. What kind of description did she give of him?
Can I reference my notes again?
Sure.
Said a black male in his 40s or 50s, medium complected, slim build, 6 foot to 6'2" in height. Wearing a light in color, long sleeve shirt, possibly gray in color, and a blue mask covering his entire face besides his eyes.
Okay. And so she indicated to you that she couldn't really see anything but his eyes, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you eventually detained Mr. Leaks, did you ever do a photo lineup?
Of Mr. Leaks to Ms. McCray?
Yeah. Did you include
I
like a
did.
6-person lineup?
I did.
Did she positively identify Mr. Leaks?
No, she did not.
Okay. Did she identify anyone?
At this time, I can't remember.
Okay. But is that in your case file? Did you keep that?
Yes.
The photo lineup?
Yes.
Okay. So you preserve that for evidence for the state?
Yes.
Okay. And she didn't ID Mr. Leaks, correct?
No, she did not.
Okay. And then, so this car was recovered on, where was it recovered?
It was, can I check my notes again?
Sure.
It was recovered at 3565 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive.
And that's a CD package store?
Yes,
Was it recovered the same day that it was taken?
yes,
Okay, and did you review camera footage from the package store?
I did.
Okay, and what did you see with that camera footage?
I see the Jeep Cherokee coming into the parking lot, parking, and then I see Mr. Leaks exit the vehicle and then enter the package store.
Okay, can you describe, let's not assume it's Mr. Leaks yet, so can we just describe what you saw? Describe the person that you saw, physical descriptions.
Okay, I saw a slim, light-skinned male wearing a red shirt with a blue mask.
Okay, and that's the same blue mask?
Yes,
Okay. All right. And you saw that individual exit the vehicle?
yes,
Okay, and did they go into the package store?
they did.
Okay, did they make any purchases in the package store?
I don't remember if they made a purchase or not, but they were at the package store. They did go to the register.
Did you follow up at the package store to see if if that individual made a purchase and used their credit card?
I believe I spoke to the owners who was not able to tell me if he made a purchase or not, but did recognize Mr. Leaks as someone who's been in the area before.
Okay, but he didn't recognize him by name, correct?
No, he didn't know his name.
Okay, you just said, oh yeah, that guy looks familiar.
Yes.
Okay. And if you're looking at the camera footage from the package store, when this individual leaves the package store, do they go back in the car?
No.
Okay. Was the car surrounded at that time?
I believe either an Atlanta police officer or a Fulton County sheriff had been near the vehicle at that time.
Okay, so do you see the individual exit the store?
Yes.
And you just see them walk off?
Yes.
Okay, so you see someone drive, leave a car, and then go in the store and then leave?
Yes.
Okay, and they don't leave in their car?
Leave in their car?
Yeah, he left on foot. This person left on
he
foot.
left on
Didn't
foot.
leave back in the Jeep.
No, he did not leave back in
Left
the
the
Jeep.
Jeep.
Yes.
Listen, Your Honor, we are not saying his name. He already said his name. It appears that she's trying to get him to perjure herself because he said we're going to act like the person he said is not who he's been testifying to the whole time, Your Honor. That can be a little confusing, Your Honor.
This is a probable cause hearing. Probable cause has not been found that it's Mr. Leaks. He made a testimony of what he described. I asked him to give a description of the person he saw. Our position, he's not necessarily Mr. Leaks. So I'm not making him perjure himself. I'm asking him to physically describe a person that he saw on a video camera.
And once he
I don't have
knew
to
who
call
he
him my
was,
client. I don't have to call him Mr. Leaks, Your Honor. He's a suspect in that case. So he's a suspect. So I can call him a suspect.
and I'm asking that the officer go ahead and call him by his name that he was able to learn during his investigation, Your Honor.
Call him suspect, call him whoever you identified or whoever you think is the person that did it.
Okay.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit more about the actual carjacking that happened. You said there's no surveillance cameras at that gas station, correct?
There are surveillance cameras. They were not working that day.
Okay, and that's what the gas station owner or attendant told you?
Yes.
Okay, and so no cameras are working, either outside or inside the facility, correct?
No cameras were working that
But
day.
you had interviewed someone that works the gas station that says that Miss McCrae came in panicked?
There was a previous investigator who went out the day of the incident and was not able to get the camera footage. Later, I can't tell you which day, I also went out there to see if that footage was available, and it was not. When I spoke to the clerks there, they remembered the incident and said that Miss McCrae came inside in a panic and asked to call 911.
Okay, but no one took down that witness's name or information?
I did not. I would have to check to see if the previous investigator did.
Do you have that in your files with you today?
No, not in my files today.
Okay, so to your knowledge, you don't know their name or if it was ever getting?
No, to my knowledge, I don't know their name, and I did not get their name myself.
Okay, I got you. Okay, and so then the next day they raised a report of another carjacking, correct?
Yes,
And that was at a 3050 MLK Drive?
yes.
How close is that to the incident with Mrs. McCrae?
It's not far. I don't have an exact distance.
Okay, but is it like just down the same street?
Yeah, so it's on the same street.
Okay, and so in that case, did you do any investigation with that case?
I did.
Okay. Okay, and so where was Mr. Leaks apprehended?
Mr. Leaks was apprehended on Jonesboro Road.
Okay, and was he apprehended in Miss McCrae's car or in the other carjacking's car?
He wasn't apprehended in neither car. What happened is Mr. Leaks arrived at that location, exited the vehicle, and when officers arrived at the vehicle and detained the passenger that Mr. Leaks had in the vehicle, he took off running and they were later able to apprehend him.
Okay, and so that car that he was seen arriving in, is that the other carjacking, not Miss McCrae's car, correct? That's the other case?
That's the other carjack.
Okay, and so at one point you made an indication that Mr. Leaks had a book bag on him?
He did.
Did you physically see him with the book bag?
I did not physically see him with the book bag, but I was able to review the cameras and Mr. Leaks is seen exiting the vehicle with a black book bag.
Okay, but you can't see what's in the bag, correct?
No, I cannot see what's in the bag from the video.
Okay, and in any of the video footage that you have of Mr. Leaks, do you ever see him with a gun?
No.
Okay, but you said this bag was recovered and there was a gun recovered?
There was a gun inside the bag.
Okay, so how do you connect Mr. Leaks to the bag? There was just a video of him carrying a bag?
Mr. Leaks has the bag. He takes off running. He is chased by officers. He is then seen throwing said bag. Officers apprehend Mr. Leaks and recover the bag, which has a firearm inside it.
Who is the officer that apprehended him and saw him throw the bag?
Can I check my notes?
Yes, please.
If I can find it. At the moment, I don't know which the officer who actually apprehended Mr. Leaks is. I can describe him, and that's really about it. There were two officers out there involved in Mr. Leaks' apprehension.
Okay, okay, I have another question. When you reviewed the body camera in this footage, did you review the body cam of an officer pursuing Mr. Leaks?
I did not review the body cam. I did not review the body cam of the officer who pursued Mr. Leaks.
Okay. Okay. And did you review the body cam of the officer who did the initial interview with Miss McCrae when she reported the car being stolen?
Partially.
You partially reviewed the video?
Yes,
Okay. But did you preserve, is that video preserved into evidence?
it is.
Okay. And with the body cam, do you know the officer that was wearing the body cam, if the officer that was pursuing Mr. Leaks, if he was wearing a body camera at the time?
I believe he was.
Okay. Would that be preserved as well?
Should be.
Okay. But you don't know for sure?
I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Just want to be clear. Okay. So at this time, Mr. Leaks is detained and he's taken into the precinct, correct?
He's taken back to headquarters
Okay.
after the show up is done.
Okay. So you did a show up with Mr. Knox?
Yes.
That's the complaining witness in the other case, not the case we're talking
The
about. today.
1211 Yes, 12/11/2022 case.
So once Mr. Knox had identified him in a show up, you guys took Mr. Leaks in and you performed an interview with him, correct?
Yes,
And that's on video
yes,
and that's preserved into
Yes.
evidence. Okay. Okay. And so you said that you read the Miranda warnings to Mr. Leaks?
I did.
And did he sign any type of waiver card?
No,
Did he give a verbal waiver of his
yes,
Miranda? And is that on camera?
yes.
Okay. Do you normally not have people sign a waiver card when you interview them?
Myself, yes.
Okay, but you did it in this case with Mr. Leaks?
No, myself, I don't usually have them sign anything.
Oh, you don't have them sign anything?
No,
Okay. And Mr. Leaks indicated to you that he was willing to speak without counsel present?
yes.
Okay. So Mr. Leaks initially denied being in the area of Martin Luther King Jr.,
Yes,
and then you had showed him a video. Is that the video of him at the city package store?
yes.
Okay, and so that he denied that he was the person in that video, correct?
Initially, he did.
Okay, when you say initially did, what did he say after? He said, oh, that's me?
Yes, he did admit that that was him and that he had went into that vehicle to test out some drugs from a drug dealer that he saw on MLK in Fairburn.
Okay, so when you were saying that the thing about testing drugs, that was in this Jeep, correct?
Yes,
And that's the thing where that's not the situation where he said that he sold someone drugs and then they got the car in exchange?
no, that situation is in reference to Mr. Knox.
Okay, so that's the other case.
Yes.
Okay, so in this case, he said that he was testing drugs in the car
Yes,
and that he didn't have any knowledge of anything else about the car.
No.
Right? Okay, did he give you anybody's name in that interview of who he got the car from?
I believe, I'm not sure. I can't remember right now.
Okay, would that be in your notes?
I don't think it would be in my notes, but it would be in the recorded interview.
Okay. And then during the interview, you said that Mr. Leaks didn't believe that Ms. McCray could identify him accurately.
Yes,
And did you describe what she saw, what kind of person she saw?
I believe I described it to him, and that's what made him believe that there's no way Miss McCray could have described himself.
So when you described to Mr. Leaks, you described that someone was wearing a hat and then a face mask, correct?
I don't believe I said that. If I remember correctly, I believe what I said is that Miss McCray described him, just pointing at him. And he, in response, said, how could she know, like, how could she describe me if, you know, and then puts his mask up and puts his hat on and is like, if I look like this.
Okay, but you're saying that you never described that the individual was only seen through their eyes, correct?
I don't believe so.
Okay, but you don't know for sure because you're saying don't believe so.
I don't know for sure. It's been a couple months.
Okay, okay. Just 1 minute, Your Honor. I just want to make sure. There's a lot going on in this case. But Ms. McCray, she described a weapon in the case?
She only described it as an all-black pistol.
Okay. And the gun that was recovered in the bag, was that a black pistol?
It was.
Was it an all-black pistol?
Yes.
Was the gun stolen or anything like that?
When the gun was checked on GCIC, it did not come back stolen.
Did you see who the gun was registered to?
No.
Thank you, Detective. No further questions, Ron.
Anything else for this officer?
I have nothing for this officer. Your Honor, I ask that he not be released just in case I have to recall him
With
in a
the
moment.
crisscrossing of the cases?
Yeah, well, he did, and I will defer to the court. I know he had testified in regards to position number 8. I don't know if the court heard enough to go ahead and go forward in regards to position number 5. If the court have not had enough information, I will call the other officer. If the court has had enough information, I will rest. I will defer to the court at this moment, Your Honor. I will ask that the officer sit in the jury stand while the judge deliberates.
I know he went some into the one where there was Mr. Knox, that allegation. I think the other officers should testify some to.
Your Honor, something that
Yes.
came to my mind in the middle of this officer's testimony was that we have the other officer sitting and we never invoked the rule, of course. I didn't realize that both were gonna be called for both of this case, and so I guess I would ask to revoke the rule at this point. Just because, I mean, he's heard all of his testimony about this case, and now they're just gonna say the same thing back and forth versus them testifying to their own knowledge necessarily. So I'm asking to invoke the rule at this point.
Your Honor, both officers was sitting right here, Your Honor. She could invoke the rule at a different. If he is.
Sorry, I'm gonna cut you off, man. It just got sticky when you have two different officers and you want them both to testify on both cases. It just didn't.
Well, I
click to me
mean,
until
so
the-
he's thinking he had enough out of this officer for both cases.
And I'm asking the court if it is enough. I believe he was an excellent witness, Your Honor. He provided more than enough information.
I mean, this is a bit unorthodox to ask you to say, do you think you have enough evidence yet before
No,
he calls more evidence? I mean, he
No,
has to
I'm-
present his case and then we. move
I was
from that
flipping
point.
through to see if he had the charges, and I'm just flipping through my mind thinking like what he covered in my mind.
And Your Honor, I said initially, I said he will be testifying in regard
Yeah.
to both.
Five. This arrest was made at the Jonesboro Road address, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's what it was. So it's up to you. I was just thinking what you want to do.
I will go forward, Your Honor. In regards to this case, I will submit in regards to the evidence. And I will call the officer in regards to position number 5.
Okay. What do you say on position 8?
Your Honor, we would just submit probable cause hasn't been found as the witness didn't correctly identify Mr. Leaks.
All right, so I found probable cause on all the charges on number 8. And right now he's at no bond as of December the 16th. Thank you, officer. Do you want to call the other one up here?
Yes.
Okay.
And Your Honor, if he is planning to call this other officer back for this case, I would ask, I'm invoking the rule at this point.
Well, I think the other officer's leaving, aren't you?
Well, no, I will ask the other officer to wait.
No. Okay, so
just in case.
All right. I've made notes on what's been covered on both on both, so that's fine. He can step outside.
Outside if I need you to go in the kitchen. Yes.
Now, I have a doctor's appointment at 3:30. I'm not trying to shorten anybody's thing, but how about not beat a dead horse?
Yes, Your Honor.
Talking to him, like, you necessarily talking.
No, I'm just trying to do my thorough.
No, I'm not talking about, I was just talking to him. I mean, because I've been taking notes on.
Understand. I was just nervous to go forward without saying anything, Your Honor.
Not yet, but
All right.
she will set up.
Your Honor, can he be sworn in, please?
Yep, swear firm testimony going to give the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
All right, if you sit down, state and spell your name for the court reporter.
I'm Officer Darren Wilson. Darren, Darren, Wilson, Wilson.
Is it officer or is it detective?
It's officer.
Officer Wilson, where are you currently employed?
Atlanta Police Department.
Were you employed with them on December 11th, 2022?
Yes, sir.
How did you become aware of James Leaks?
So on December 11th, 2022, I was dispatched to 3050 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. It was on a call of a carjacking that just occurred. As I arrived on scene, spoke with the victim, Mr. Wallace Knox. He was at the location. He had a buggy pushing it back to the Wayfield area. Grocery store, seen him, talked to him, asked him what was going on. So he explained to me that he was gathering buggies. What he does, he works, gathers buggies for the Wayfield, puts them on his pickup truck. He drives a 2015 GMC, white Sierra pickup truck. So he goes around MLK, picking up the buggies, puts them on the truck. So he said he was picking the buggies up. It's a Wells Fargo ATM in that plaza. So he was near the Wells Fargo ATM picking up buggies. He stated to me that Mr. Leaks, later identified as Mr. Leaks, walked up to him coming eastbound on MLK on the sidewalk, came up to him, asked him was the keys in his vehicle. He explained, yes, they was in his vehicle. And he said that at that point, he branched the firearm from his waistband at him and said, let's make this easy. The victim stated that he didn't want to get shot. So he said he didn't want to get shot, said that Leaks jumped into his vehicle, drove off in his vehicle going eastbound Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, and out the area out of sight. As I was speaking with him, I got the tag information from the GMC. Other officers, backup officers were in the area trying to canvass. It was Officer McKenzie, Officer Gooden, my sergeant, Sergeant Brown. He actually arrived on scene. Sergeant Glasses, he was advised as well. He was helping with trying to locate the vehicle. So got a tag for the vehicle. It was registered to the victim. Actually got the tag on the LPRs. It hit in zone 3. It was literally maybe 30 minutes or so, approximately 30 minutes from getting that information to when it hit the tag reader. Zone 3 units was actually given. It was a citywide BOLO given. I actually raised robbery. It was just all in progress. Raised robbery unit to make them aware of the situation. I actually spoke with Investigator Lucian, who was here today, of the incident. While we were still gathering information, I was advised that Zone 3 units. It was Officer Stevens, Officer Lee. Officer Stevens, I spoke with him on scene in Zone 3. He actually said he had eyes on that pickup truck at a gas station off Zoneboro Road. He seen the vehicle. He said he possibly was a vehicle. He said what he did, he pulled into the parking lot, went around to get the tag on the vehicle that was given in the lookout, seen the tag description, waited for another unit, seen a female inside that truck. He said he did see Mr. Leaks standing by the vehicle as he went around initially, and then waited for another unit, came back around, detained the female that was in the passenger seat. And he stated to me that the female said that Mr. Leaks was driving and he was walking away on the sidewalk away from the vehicle. And then chase ensued. They detained Mr. Leaks, looked at the video surveillance. He advised me that Mr. Leaks was in the vehicle at the time, and they recovered a black pouch with a gun in it, and it had some drugs in it as well, alleged drugs.
Couple of quick questions. Did the victim, and what was the victim name?
First name is Wallace, last name Knox.
And did he describe the gun?
He did. He said it was a black gun. He said it was a large black handgun, and he described to me that it was similar to a .45 caliber.
Where was he at when his vehicle was taken? What was the address?
So it's 3050 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia.
What county is that?
It's Fulton County.
Were you post certified during this investigation?
Yes, sir.
How did Mr. Knox identify Mr. Leaks?
So I corroborated with the investigator, robbery investigator Lucian, to do a show up. And Sergeant Glasses from our precinct, he went ahead and went on out to Jonesboro Road where they had the alleged suspect detained. So I gave a courtesy ride with the victim to Jonesboro Road. Actually went to the gas station right next to the Exxon that the vehicle was left at. Pulled us into there, waited. What they did, they brought the alleged suspect out. They stood him at the pumps. They was actually just talking to him. So what I did, I just drove the victim around, drove him around the parking lot, asked him was he the alleged suspect in the incident. He positively identified him. He actually said to me, "How'd you catch him so fast?" And, I gave him just the information that you provided to me. I gave it out, citywide. And, we had the LPR hit on the car and officers was in the area.
And you wrote the warrant for possession of firearm by a convicted felon. What was convicted of?
So it was a felony burglary charge. It was out of DeKalb County.
What year?
It was, I want to say 2018.
Did you write the warrant for this?
Yes, sir.
If you looked at your warrant, would it refresh recollection?
Yes, sir.
Question I will be asking is, can you please tell me the condition you used for possession of firearm by a convicted felon?
Yes, sir. It's burglary, first degree.
And what county?
It is DeKalb County Superior Court.
And what date was he convicted for that for?
10/02/2018.
And do you see Mr. Leaks in the courtroom right now?
Yes, sir.
Everybody remove your mask.
Can you please describe an article of clothing he is wearing?
Blue.
You can stand up if you got to.
Blue t-shirt. He's got a gray long sleeve undershirt.
May the court recognize he has positively identified the defendant.
Noted.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Good afternoon, Officer Wilson.
Good afternoon.
Is it officer or detective?
It's officer.
Okay. Did you report to the incident location in this case?
Yes.
Okay, and so you had a conversation with Mr. Knox
Yes.
and he indicated that he was working and someone came up to him?
Yes.
Okay, and then someone took his truck?
Yes.
Okay. And then around what time was the truck taken?
It was between 7:30 and approximately 7:40 in the morning.
Okay. And then the truck was later recovered the same day, correct?
Correct.
When was it recovered?
It was recovered around 8:29, 8:30 a.m. approximately.
A little bit over an hour, a little bit under an hour.
Yes, about an hour.
Were there surveillance cameras in that parking lot where the incident happened with Mr. Knox?
Yes.
Did you pull that camera footage?
I looked on the Fuses camera that's in the area. I couldn't see the alleged incident there, but they do have a Wells Fargo ATM, but I don't have access to that, to the
So you didn't
surveillance.
So you didn't actually pull any camera footage?
I seen the truck leaving the incident scene
You see the
on the
truck?
Fuses cameras.
So you saw the truck leave,
Yes.
but did you see the actual incident before the truck
No.
leaves?
No,
Okay, and did you go around to Wells Fargo or any of the other businesses in the area to see if they had surveillance cameras of this incident?
no,
Okay. During your conversation with Mr. Knox, was your body camera on?
yes,
And so was that evidence preserved?
yes,
Did Mr. Knox describe the guy?
yes.
How did he describe him?
So he described him as 5'9", a little bit over 5'9", light skin complexion. Said he was wearing a hat with no mask and a tan jacket
Okay.
and a medium build.
Did he describe him as slim build?
No,
He didn't describe him as being over 6 foot?
no,
Okay, and so when the car was recovered, you said at a gas station
yes,
on Jonesboro Road?
yes,
Okay, and so an officer, in your report, you said an Officer Stevens had seen a male exit the vehicle?
he said he was standing by the vehicle.
So was there surveillance camera at that gas station?
Yes,
Did you guys pull that camera footage?
I didn't know.
So that's not preserved for evidence?
I'm not sure if they'll still have the evidence from that video feed. I'm not sure how long it preserves.
Did you review the surveillance camera?
I didn't know.
Did another officer that you know reviewed that surveillance camera?
Yes,
And is that captured on body camera?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay, so there's an allegation that Mr. Leaks exited the vehicle and was standing near the vehicle. Is that when an officer approached him? Is that Officer Stevens that approached him?
So it was two officers on scene, Officer Stevens and Officer Lee. They actually approached him as he was leaving, walking on the sidewalk out the parking lot,
Okay, so they approached him not by the car.
not by the vehicle initially.
So was Mr. Leaks ever actually seen in the car or just he was standing near the car?
Yes, Officer Stevens explained to me that he observed Leaks drive into the parking lot and exit the vehicle
Okay,
from the video surveillance.
that wasn't preserved for evidence.
Yes,
Okay, just make it clear. Okay, and so, so then he sees Mr. Leaks walk west and then he approaches Mr. Leaks. Is Officer Stevens the officer that saw Mr. Leaks throw a bag allegedly?
I don't know.
Okay, did you see Mr. Leaks throw a bag?
No,
Did you ever see Mr. Leaks with a bag?
no.
Okay. There is a female, you said, inside that truck, correct?
Yes.
Who is that female?
What I was told that it was a friend of Mr. Leaks.
Okay. Do you know her name?
I have to look at my report.
Please.
It was Miss Coretta McLean.
Okay. And was she detained?
Yes,
But you guys released her?
yes.
Why didn't you arrest her for possession of stolen property?
Because what she told Zone 3 was, what they told me was that Mr. Leach came and picked her up and then they went to the gas station. That's it.
But she was in the car
She was in the vehicle at the time.
and that's what officers observed?
Yes,
Okay, but they didn't arrest her for that.
no,
Okay. Did she indicate how Mr. Leaks got the car?
she didn't,
Did
that I'm aware of.
Do you know if she was questioned about how Mr. Leaks got the car?
No,
Was she questioned why she was in a car that was reported stolen?
I'm not sure.
Okay, and so then you also conducted a show up with Mr. Mr. Knox?
Yes,
Okay, and so Why didn't you go with the lineup?
Because the scene was still active and he said they didn't have a mask on. So that's why we did a show up. And it was within the hour of the vehicle being stolen.
And so when you conducted this show, was Mr. Leaks standing in handcuffs with officers around him?
He did have handcuffs on.
Was there any other individuals in handcuffs at the scene?
No.
He was the only person in handcuffs?
Yes.
Okay, and did you point him out and say, hey, is this the guy?
I asked him, was he the alleged suspect in the incident?
And he confirmed that he was?
Yes.
Okay, but he was the only person in this show up, correct? Mr. Leaks was the only individual in cuffs in this show up?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I want to talk to you about Mr. Leaks' criminal history for your basis for the possession of a firearm by convicted felon charge. You indicated on your direct that he has a burglary conviction.
Yes.
Did you take out warrants in this case?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a copy of that warrant?
I do.
Okay. What's the, please review the warrant. What's the basis of your reasoning for the possession of firearm by convicted felon? What's the underlying charge?
Okay. So speaking with the investigator, it was Investigator Lucian. He did a criminal history on Mr. Leaks and looked up his criminal history and seen he was convicted of burglary first degree out of the cab.
Okay. So hold on 1 second. Okay. Was there video footage, surveillance video footage of the gas station that the car was recovered at?
Yes.
Did you guys pull that video footage?
I didn't know.
So that you don't know if that's been preserved into evidence either?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know.
What kind of handgun was recovered in that bag?
It was a black High Point 45 caliber handgun.
Okay. And you didn't conduct any interview with Mr. Leaks, correct?
Correct.
Have you ever reviewed an interview that was conducted with Mr. Leaks?
No.
Okay. No further questions at this time. Thank you.
Anything else?
I have no further questions for this officer.
What about the other officer?
No, not the other officer. Ready to go forward and submit on the evidence, and I request that both officers be released, Your Honor.
What about you, Ms. Alfarasi?
That's fine, Your Honor.
Good, yeah, thank you. Stay safe. Tell your partner out there I said safe. All right, go ahead with the argument.
Your Honor, I take issue with the ID in this case. For one, they do a show up. Mr. Leaks is the only person held in custody in handcuffs. They drive him around. They point him out. Hey, do you think that's the guy? And he says, yeah, I think that's the guy. Then that's highly prejudicial. I see that potentially getting suppressed at a later stage or just for probable cause purposes, Your Honor. A lot of their basis was for that. Also, in addition, Your Honor, there was another individual in this car. She could have been connected with someone who had done this alleged armed robbery and then gave her the car, and then Mr. Leaks was in the car with her. They didn't interview her. They didn't investigate her. They didn't arrest her. I have clients caught in a stolen car all the time, Your Honor, and they sure had arrested them and detained them and charged them. And this woman just gets to go free when this car is allegedly connected to 2 potential armed robbery carjackings. So, Your Honor, I find that to be very suspect. honestly, that they just let this potential witness go. And then they pin Mr. Leaks with everything. Also, Your Honor, I heard no testimony about who saw Mr. Leaks throw this bag. A lot of they have connected him to a gun, Your Honor, is this alleged bag. There's no officer who actually saw it. There's no video cameras of any footage. They didn't pull any video cameras of the footage. There was very little investigation in this case. It seems like they had two carjackings and they slapped them together, said, hey, let's make a case with both of them. They're built off each other, Your Honor. We have a, what's that term? You have a stack of cards. It's like thin cards. That's what they're building.
House of cards.
House of cards, Your Honor. That's what it feels like they're building.
Not helping her, just refreshing her recollection.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just couldn't think of the actual name of that phrase. But, Your Honor, we submit probable cause hasn't been found in this case, and we ask you to dismiss this case. Thank you.
Your Honor, mine is real quick. They said officers was chasing him, saw him with the black bag on, running with the black bag and throwing the black bag. Officer Lucen and hearsay can be used in regards to probable cause hearing is multiple officers was chasing him with the black bag. He had the black bag, threw the black bag. In the black bag was a gun. This was all caught on body camera, Your Honor. So the black bag, we don't know where the black bag came from. That's just not true, Your Honor. The black bag was on his back, and when he was running, he threw it. And when they found the gun that was used in this case and in the other case, it wasn't just carjackings going on with the show up, Your Honor. The show up, he drove up, he saw him, and it was within 1 hour of this happening, Your Honor. I believe this was great police work, number one. And number two, I will say that I believe more than enough information have been given for probable cause.
All right. I will find probable cause on each. I get your arguments as you know, good argument as far as the show up for sure. So they may have some issues with that. However, no bond on both. Bustic, you awake?
Bone argument now.
Judge, in regards to Leaks, 21 prior arrests, 4 misdemeanors, 2 probation violations, 9 felony convictions, ranging from armed robbery, burglary tools, 2010 coke, 09 robbery again, ag assault, currently on probation out of the cab for a burglary, sentence 2018, 10 to 18, 5 years confinement, 5 years probation, nothing further.
All right, Ms. Sarfarasi, she's still gonna live at address on it's in Forsyth, Georgia is what's listed on the pretrial report.
Yeah, let me confirm, because I have an Atlanta address. You're gonna go to this address? Or you're gonna go to the one in Forsyth? 333. This is the one? Yeah. No, Your Honor, he's gonna go to a 333?
3337.
3337. Eisenhower Circle, Atlanta, Georgia, 30354. And Your Honor, I'll file a change of address.
Okay.
To update that in the system today.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. A little bit about Mr. Leaks is he's 58 years old. He's a lifelong Georgia resident. Your Honor, he does have 2 children that reside in the area. He was employed at the time of his arrest. He worked for Partners Personnel, which is a forklift. So he operates on a forklift, Your Honor. Your Honor, again, I think there are some questions about identity in this case. I think there are some other people who could potentially be involved that were not thoroughly investigated. Your Honor, he's been in custody now 108 days without an indictment, without a bond hearing. He's had no bond this entire time. He is legally entitled to a bond today. We do understand the severity of the charges. The reality too, Your Honor, is my client is indigent. We represent him at the public defender's office. So we are asking for a reasonable bond. We're going to ask for a total of $30,000 on each case. So a total of $60,000.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, what says the state?
Your Honor, this is a very dangerous person. This is danger to not only property, it's also a danger to the public in general, Your Honor. This is a danger because we also believe that if he will probably more likely than not commit other felonies. Your Honor, in regards to, we have 2 cases, cases 5 and cases 8. They all have the same charges. And Your Honor, for both cases, it will be the same number for each. For armed robbery, my recommendation will be $150,000. For hijacking a motor vehicle, it will be $50,000. For aggravated assault, it will be $100,000. For possession of firearm during a commission, it will be $50,000. And for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, it will be $100,000. Your Honor, and that is for each case. And the same way she said 30 would be 60, mine will be the same. The reason why, Your Honor, we are walking up to people, putting a gun in front of their face while they're getting some gas. The guy who's getting the buggies, who's going to our local doggone grocery store, he's putting a gun to his face and taking his car and picking up somebody on the way to another place, Your Honor. We cannot take this lightly, Your Honor. The fact that these two people are alive, it says something in of itself, Your Honor. I don't think sometimes we rubber stamp things. I won't say this court have ever rubber stamped anything. And when I say anybody has, but this right here is serious charges with serious allegations and serious consequences, Your Honor. We should be able to, the general public should be able to go and get and pump some gas, Your Honor. He's not allowing that to happen. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Your Honor, if I may, also, if the state is so concerned about Mr. Leaks, why is it taking them, if they think their case is so solid, why is it taking them so long to make an indictment on this case? They like to do this where they like to set really high bonds on clients who can't afford bonds. They get accused of crimes and they don't get their day in court. This is 100 days now. He gets a prelim after 100 days. God knows how long he's going to wait before he actually gets an indictment. The state's always telling us, hey, these people are dangerous. Hey, these people are dangerous. They're a menace, all this. But they're not moving their cases. They're not indicting their cases, Your Honor. And we take issue with that as well. Mr. Leaks is ready to move forward with this case if he has to. And the state is the one that holds all the cards to do that. I just like to take that into account, Your Honor, before you make your ruling on his bond.
I got you. Okay. Yeah, and I would, I agree. Let's, get some indicting done. So in position 5, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Wallace Knox, KNOX. Stay away from 3843 Jonesboro Road Southeast. You can have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, the location you'll be working. If you get your schedule on a weekly basis, you have to supply it on a weekly basis. So anytime there's a schedule, you have to give it to your lawyer and then give it to the ankle monitoring company. If not, that'll be a violation of your bond conditions. And that ankle monitor will be paid for by the county. So court, lawyer, medical. And then she's going to file the change of address and she's going to live at Eisenhower.
Yes, Your Honor. I'll do that.
Got that. I think that was it. All right. So, and let me give you conditions on the other one, then we'll just go through the numbers. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Brianna, BRIANNA McCray, MCCRAY. Stay away from 3330 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, Southwest. And you're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county. Same thing, 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment. Name of your employer, proof of employment, location you're working in, and schedule. That doesn't mean get a job, then quit it and act like you're going to work. The state gets copies of those, just giving you the heads up, and they check that to make sure you are where you're at. So basically be the same on any of the, I don't think there was a hold. If there was, my clerk puts down, you have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on if anything were to pop up. So we'll do, on both cases, so they can just mirror each other, 50,000 armed robbery, 50,000 hijacking motor vehicle, 50,000 ag assault, 15,000 possession of firearm during the commission of a felony, and 15 on the convicted felon. I think they're all the exact same charges. So 50, 50, 50, 15, and 15. They're listed the same. Yeah, they're listed the same exact way. You got that, Madam Clerk?
Your Honor, that total of 180 on both on each case.
Yes, wait, yes. Best of luck to you, sir. Got it, Madam Clerk?
180,000 on each case.
Yes, Judge, I have it.
All right, thank you.
I'll file another motion so we can get your bond loaded. Get back. Okay.
All right, so let's see who else we got here. We can hear. We can do bond hearings on 6. I think just 6 and 7 is all we have left. So it's Raphael Chambers or Jesus de Luna. Either way, like I said, I got to leave about 3:25. So either one. You got Raphael Chambers and Jesus de Luna. So whoever, just tell me who it is when you get out here. Because one's yours and one's Mr. Nelson's. Let's see. Chambers has
Do you know who we're doing first, Your Honor? Or we'll find out.
Yeah, I guess to see Chambers has $50,000, $50,750 split bond as of December 12th. And Luna. That's 20, yeah, that's the 20,000 cash only on December 14th. Who is it, Ms. Alfarasi first, you know?
Sorry, Your
Chambers?
Honor.
Is that Chambers?
Yeah.
All right. This is gonna be a bond hearing on Chambers, position 6, Bostic 22 CP 214604, Raphael Chambers. 108 days without indictment. We got driving, fleeing, attempting to elude, improper and erratic lane change, escape, custody and confinement, pedestrian in roadway, misdemeanor obstruction, operating without lights required by law, driving on wrong side of the road, failure to obey traffic control device, reckless driving, possession of marijuana less than an ounce, driving, hit and run, and failure to return and duty stop at the scene of accident. There's 3 counts of that. Try.
Chambers, 14, arrest, 4 felonies, 3 probation violations, 1 parole violations, prior armed robbery, cocaine with intent, 2017 cocaine, probation firearm by convicted felon, 3/23/21, 10 years out of troop. Nothing further.
All right, and so right now there's that $50,750 split bond as of December the 12th. Go ahead, Ms. Alfarasi, and it's no bond on the driving and fleeing, attempting to elude.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Mr. Chambers is 39 years old. He is a lifelong Georgia resident, Your Honor. He does have 1 daughter that resides here, that is living with him. At the time of his arrest, he was working for Chick-fil-A as a cook, Your Honor. He does have his GED. We do have a good address for him. Where is it? In LaGrange, Georgia, Your Honor. It is the same address he's had since the beginning of his arrest. So we won't need to change our address there, Your Honor. And in this case, Your Honor, we do believe we were looking forward to our day in court because we do believe some of these charges we could get reduced once we have a preliminary hearing. Your Honor, my client has been in custody 108 days. That's without an indictment, without a preliminary hearing, without any type of bond hearing. He really needs to get back to his family. He does have family in the state of Georgia, Your Honor. And he is married. He's been married for 1 year, so he does have people to return to. He's gonna come back to court, Your Honor. He's looking forward to his days in court. We are gonna ask you to set a total bond of $15,000.
All right, what says the state?
Yes, Your Honor. The concern we have, and we was ready to go forward with this one also, Your Honor, is the fact that he has multiple felonies. It appears that we will be concerned that we can commit more felonies. And also for the concern for the safety, Your Honor, regards to this case before the court, it was 4 drivers driving and hit and run, Your Honor. It was 3 victims that was here and was ready to go ahead and go forward. And Your Honor, and also when the officers were on the scene, he did allegedly flee, Your Honor. It's a concern of the public safety and what happened in regards to this one, and also the history that he do have with the concern for the public and also him reoffending, Your Honor.
Okay, so the only thing that has no bond is the fleeing and attempting to elude. What's your position on that?
Your Honor, I will defer to the court in regards to the amount for the bonds for this one, Your Honor.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with China Waldorf. Okay, let me make sure I got this all right. WAL, I'll find it. I just lost it. WALDORF, China, common spelling. No further contact with ALTOEMEISA Smith. No further contact with Andres, ARNDRES. Last name VIEYRA. think that's. I think I got all of them. Oh, and no further contact with Tristan Moyer, Tristanmoyer. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You're gonna have an anchor monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment. You have to supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. You have to supply that to the ankle monitoring company and to Ms. Safarasi so she can give that to the state. There'll be no driving during the pendency of this action. Now, let me pull up these bond conditions. Hold on. Sorry, it's going a little slow here. Hey, just stay out of Fulton County. The only reason you're gonna come back to Fulton County Circuit Court or to see your lawyer. So fill up with Grange to here. I mean, it's gonna take a whole full tank of gas, maybe depending on what you'll be riding with, because you won't be driving anywhere. But whoever's driving, you needs to not stop for gas or anything like that, because you're in the car and you can't stop for gas. You come straight to the courthouse, see your lawyer, or leave, and that's it. Pack snacks. You can't stop for any reason. All right, so we've got 10,000 on the fleeing, attempting to elude. Improper erratic lane change, 1,000. Number 3 is escape, 5,000. Number 4, $250. Count 5, $500. Count 6, $100. Count 7, $2,000. Count 8, $250. Count 9, $8,000. Count 10, $200. Count 11. I'll do 8,000 on each hit and run. So 11, 12, and 13 will be 8,000 apiece. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Best of luck to you, sir.
Your Honor, do you know the total of that?
Oh, I didn't do the total. I was just reading them all.
I just want to make sure.
That income one will be paid for by the county, sir.
I did math.
And so your prelim will be reset until April the 11th wait, I gave you the wrong day, April 18th at 1 p.m. Okay, the officer is on a duty assignment and then on vacation. So you'll be back and actually have your prelim if you don't make your bond. Thanks, sir. All right, now we got
Your Honor, I just want to get from the total.
Jesus DeLuda.
It's like 51,300. Yeah, I'm gonna file a change. I'm gonna file a motion for you to get reheard on bond, okay? But it's gonna take a few months. Maybe we'll be here again. 18th, because the officer couldn't show because they're in Cop City. So 18th, I'm gonna come out and see you before, and I'm gonna come out and we're gonna talk more about this, okay? All right, now. Thank you.
All right, thanks, sir. Yes, sir. We'll bring Jesus DeLuda out. Where is that one at? There it is. All right, this is position 7, Jesus DeLuna, 22 CP 214645. 106 days without indictment. There was a $20,000 cash bond as of December the 14th. Forgery in the first degree, giving false information to a law enforcement officer.
Multi-state, Delaware, Texas. This is his only prior arrest in Georgia. Criminal mischief in 2000, theft by deception. No, not theft by deception, driving while intoxicated out of Texas and carrying a weapon and possession. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Rossi.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Delua, he is originally from Mexico, Your Honor. He was here working through Kroger when he was pulled over. We do have a good address for him. It is in Indiana, Your Honor. He lived there for the last 6 years. He was married and he has 4 kids that live there that he supports. He has a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old, a 12-year-old, an 8-year-old, and then his 19-year-old is trying to get into college, Your Honor, and his 12-year-old actually has Down syndrome, and so he and his wife are the primary caretakers of her. He does have his GED, Your Honor. And Your Honor, he's been in custody now about over 100 days, I believe.
106.
106 days, Your Honor. That's without an indictment, without a bond hearing. I believe his bond is a $20,000 cash bond. We are going to, if you look at the charges, Your Honor, it's a forgery. These are non-violent charges. It is a ridiculously high bond, especially for the condition of cash. We're going to ask for a total of a $10,000 good bond, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, what says the state?
The state will defer to the court in regards to this, Your Honor.
Okay, so on here, there was a Texas address. It's on his bookend and pretrial.
The information I have from Mr. Rhodes, it's an Indiana address, but I'll put a note that he needs to file a change of address so we make sure he gets his court notices, Your Honor.
Yeah, it looks like it's only arrest here, and I think that they get an address from them when they get booked in, right? That's where they gave the address?
Yeah, a lot of times too, they don't change them when they get booked in again. A lot of times it'll be the same address and then we have to change it when we do the change.
No, it was just the only address in Fulton County. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's see. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. No further contact. I gotta pull up this. I have it here. Alleged victim's name is Abelardo, last name Flores, Flores. You're gonna have, so Indiana, what's your position on him going back to Indiana?
Your Honor, I would disagree with him going back to Indiana at this time, Your Honor, because I feel like he will not be able to make it to the hearing if once it is set, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I believe that if he should have to remain in the state of Georgia, Your Honor.
Your Honor, he's not from here. This isn't his home. His home is in Indiana. If you want him to be stable, to support for his family and to be able to come back to court, having him stay here to be homeless is not the solution to that, Your Honor. Just because he's out of another state doesn't mean he can't come back. There's many people that have cases in other states and they go back and address their court cases. We don't have any reason to believe he can't do that. Not to mention, he also has a hold, Your Honor. So even if he gets out, he's gonna have to deal with that hold first anyways. So, just to penalize him, to punish him for not being from Georgia is just ridiculous, Your Honor.
All right. And I said no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, and employment. Supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working, sir, even if you're going to be up there. Stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. That means stay out of Georgia unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Now you got this ice hold. So I don't know what happens there, but you have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle. Once you get, if you settle that and they leave you here, what have you, but you'll have an ankle monitor on your ankle. Okay. And so we'll make it, they did this for 15. I'll just convert this to a good bond from cash. So 15 and 5, good bond. I supposed to come get him? They'll come get him.
Your Honor, not to be rude to the court, I just had a call from my kid's school. Do you mind if I step out? Are we done?
Go ahead. I think we're finished. Yeah, that should be it.
I'll step out. If I have to come back in, I don't mind.
I think that's it, right?
Ross, you good?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You said date 4/12, Judge.
And Your Honor, all of these that we heard today for bond, can we remove them from the night court calendars?
Can you do what?
Can we remove them from the night court calendars?
Oh, the night counters, yeah, she just sent out an email
Okay.
saying they were dressed up on bond, but we'll, so Miss Melissa and Bostic, don't worry, I'll be there this evening. The doctor's right by my house. I just gotta go there real quick and I'll be back. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Sims. Y'all have a good day. Miss Fisher, I'll sign the rest of them as soon as I get to my house. My appointment's
Okay,
on.
thank you, Judge.